Well, hello. Hello, everybody. Here to talk about the germination of an observation. I want to talk about how I came in contact with Dave Cartwright. And you have to go back a ways. This was the sort of in the heyday of the personal computer, when the personal computer was just getting going, and Commodore had went through their various 128 or whatever to the Amiga, and on television there was a show called Night Flight, and there was the USA Network, and there were all these different things emerging, and it was MTV was going, and in the 80s we're following the 70s, and some people are happy about that, some people are not happy about what happened in the 80s. It's all depends on who you talk to. So anyway, on TV I'm watching, and then what happens? But on the television station they say, we're interested in videos to play on TV. I'm going, what? Videos on TV? And I had a piece called Sheet Metal Life, which had the Holy Cow and various things on it, and a video of everyone carrying red flags with hats with stars on it, and it was a fun video. So I send it in, and pretty soon I'm on the phone talking to somebody, and I get the next step in the process. He says send a CD. We'll put those to video. And so I send in Brothers of Another Realm, and suddenly some real interesting footage is put to it that I never would have dreamed of. Some fun stuff. The song Schlagermore Gleich 2 was on it, and all of the other favorites. So anyway, I'm in touch with Dave Cartwright, and I actually get to have a lot of conversations on the phone, and it's after a while it's pretty amazing, because it's like a needle in a haystack. I just sort of ran into him, and he's very deep on a lot of subjects, and he knows a lot about things of a worldly sense and of a judicial sense as well, and it was really fun talking to him and so forth, and we had a lot of conversations. And at that time I was beginning what was going to later on turn into the centrifugal Zotz clock. It's the same story, but it began with the Ranger Dan series, and then it sort of went to Kreptus, and then the next iteration was the Tunnel, and then it was all brought together under the banner of the centrifugal Zotz clock, a 47-hour work of music that has a lot of the themes that Dave and I are both interested in. And so it was a great thing when it finally culminated later on in his movie 5 Nights of Waking Dreams, and then the follow-up one, which I think everybody's really going to enjoy, the life cycle of the proletariat. And I'm just thrilled. I get to put the music to it, and a little discussion about this film, because it is titled as it is, and it's connected to cluster headaches and long stretches of no sleep, and the suffering that occurs, and the going in and out of different mental states. And I guess if I could try and of course I'm drawing my own conclusions about this. You'll have to talk to Dave if I'm off a little bit on some of this, but one of the things is, as you go on and you don't get sleep, a lot of strange things happen. It's not good to not get sleep. And, there's, when you dream, when you go to sleep, uh, dimethyltryptamine is released, and it creates a lot of, fun things that happen, or nightmare things that happen when you're asleep, where, your left brain isn't really connected to the process, and you're just sort of roaming, and the dream state takes a hold of things that are in your mind and connects them in a loose way. It might be, you might be standing, on your doorstep, and then flip around and you're stepping down into Hong Kong. And then you might be flying way above the clouds and then jump and fly down. Almost anything can happen. But one of the things that can't happen is, if you try, and if you ever, I don't know if anybody's ever tried this, if you're dreaming and you try and add 236 plus 479, as you start trying to line it up, it's just hard to even begin to do. And any beginning of success, well, you'll wake up, because the left brain is not a part of this dream state. And the film, to me, captures a lot of the essence of this. And what I really like about it is the severe contrasts. And it has the complete flatness of a normal world, of the normal day-to-day life. Let's just say you got up on a Saturday and there's nothing happened. You're in the middle of nowhere, and you walk out and just nothing. It's just, he's filming ants. Okay, could that capture flatness better than anything? This is the action. Is in ants. That one looks pretty purposeful. Oh, he turned around. Never mind. And then it sort of slowly swirls and goes off into the dream state. And these dream states can be euphoric, full of endorphins, or horrific and full of enkephalins. It goes from nightmare to dream. And these different sections are what's really fun about them is how they create such a distinction between the flatness of things. And it's not all one shade. During the flatness, sometimes it's charming, and sometimes it's tranquil, and sometimes it's beautiful, and sometimes it sort of, in its flatness, you can sort of connect up to a basic pain state, where this flatness is not pleasurable, and so going through these contrasts, then as you go, then you run into the end. Now, what happens at the end sure makes sense for the last day, because you've missed sleep the most, and you're probably those fun endorphinal dreams are probably not going to be the kind you have. And then all your dreads about the world are going to be summarized, and they're going to come out in a cathartic explosion of dread and implication. Because this is just my first-hand take. There's a lot more to it. It was a lot of fun working with these things. My favorite section is one of the early dream states where you flash to these idyllic people on a bed in what could only be described as sort of a bizarre heavenly state, and then the satanic darkness that rolls off of that, where you can see they're flipping back and forth. And it was really a lot of fun aligning music to that area. Initially, when I came to that, I had music mixed in with the dialogue, and so I was going to put music on it, but so it wasn't how you'd normally get it, where there's dialogue and then you just wrap all the music around the dialogue. It was like, so at first I thought, well, okay, just talking on the phone, he says, just fill it up with music. So I fill it up with music, and then it comes back way different than I'd planned, but keeping the important parts and then we had sort of a discussion, and what happens is it comes together, and he does a lot of editing, a lot of cutting down, which always makes sense. So it's a two-headed storm there, you know. I prefer the longer version, but when you're presenting it to the public, you know, it's probably a good idea to cut it down. All of his decisions make a lot of sense. So, you know, I kept the original version because that was a lot of fun, and then we have the other version, so you get the best of both worlds. But I think it's a masterpiece, and the way it was finally edited and finally came together, it's perfect. It's just absolutely perfect. It's a really, really great film. And this film probably gets you ready for the much more compounded issues that occur in the life cycle of the proletariat. So it's a really fun film, really fantastic. I really like the music, you know, and he kept some of the original music there by somebody who is really interesting, made all of his own instruments. And so everything he plays, he created the instrument. So there's always many forms of great creativity out there. And they fit really well with the buggy sections, so to speak. So, you know, I recommend not only just watching it, but, you know, take a little break and come back and watch it again. Because the more you watch it, the more comes out of it. And it's quite interesting.